you can't find it.
So why are we paying this debt?
I told you, it's a Ponzi scheme. And ask yourself, who has been eating all this money? What is this thing? What is this snake, this chain? Okay?
Because it's like this debt is not going down. We keep paying.
It will keep going up. And yet we are paying humongous amounts of money. This financial year coming, we are paying another 1.8 if current exchange rates remain. Okay? You will not see that thing coming down.
Hello guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Eunice Shalom, in case you're seeing my face for the very first time. Even though a lot of Kenyans participated in the just concluded protest, some don't even know the amount of money Kenyans owed that even brought about the taxation. So in today's video, we are going to be dissecting the amount of money Kenya really owes. Some are saying is 3.9 billion, some are saying is 8 billion. So in today's video, we are going to be clarifying that and what brought about taxation, what Ruto is in right now, and what the IMF, the World Bank, because believe me, it is not only the IMF that Kenya owe, they owe World Bank, they owe China, they owe Saudi Arabia and the US. So if you are interested in this kind of video, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, share if it's something that interests you.
Instead of borrowing 1.3, which was the shortfall, we borrowed 7.4 trillion.
Wait a minute. The deficit was 1.3 trillion.
Yes.
And what did we borrow?
7.4 trillion shillings.
What was that money used for?
It doesn't appear in the budget. So you minus 1.3 to 7.4, you have about 6.3.
Yes.
Which is nowhere,
in the
I
books.
think it's a bit less than about 6 trillion, which is nowhere in the books.
So it's nowhere in the budget, it's nowhere.
It does not exist.
Weeks since the protests began, determined Kenyans continue to voice out their frustration with the government. Demonstrators first took to the streets in June to rally against proposed tax hike. It was not only President William Ruto and members of parliament who came under fire. In the protests that later turned deadly, placards were raised denouncing the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. They accused the World Bank by saying, "Stop modern-day slavery." Let's reverse back a little bit. What is the debt situation in Kenya presently? You know, when Ruto entered office in August 2022, even prior, Kenya was already in a crisis. Its external debt was 62 billion as at 2022. This is in US dollars. Any money you hear me call is in USD, or 60, which is also 67% of its GDP. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta had borrowed heavily from commercial lenders and countries like China to finance huge infrastructure projects, including a rail line that links Nairobi to the port city of Mombasa. Most of those loans were commercial, meaning they had high interest rates. Meanwhile, the infrastructure they borrowed the money from failed to generate the expected revenue. The inflation from the COVID-19 also lingered. The supply chains from the agriculture in Kenya, they were also disrupted by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. All this meant food and general cost of living was soaring high in 2022.
Ask them to show you what Eurobonds, because 7 billion Eurobonds were taken. This too was taken in 2013 that we were struggling to pay the other day. Right? I think 500 is to be paid this month. Was taken in 2013. But the total Eurobonds are 7 billion. Show me where it is in the budget that it funded something.
So, when did the IMF come into the picture? Kenya under Kenyatta and the then Vice President entered an agreement with the IMF for relief. That came in form of a 38-month program. The IMF said they would help Kenya manage its debt, create conducive economic environment for needed private sector investments. Under the program, Kenya is to unlock $3.9 billion in funding. Separate climate fund was also approved, which was $542 million. Now, the condition IMF gave was that the loan was to be repaid by hiking taxes, reducing subsidy, cutting down government waste measures, and that will increase government revenue, and it will also reduce the spending. So those measures kicked off last year, which was 2023. And they unlocked the last revenue in January, which was $941 million. So what did this loan did? After taking office, Ruto suspended subsidies on fuel and fertilizers. Fuel subsidy were also reinstated after the protest broke out. The finance bill was also backed by the IMF. The bill was passed in June 2023, housing levy for employed people and stuff like that. Now they have withdrawn the finance bill. Now, the IMF loan also helped Kenya on defaulting on a 2 billion euro bond that matured in June. Yes. So currently the debt Kenya has reached 82 billion US dollars. Then 8 billion is owed to China. So if you combine the two, it's about 90 billion US dollars. Even though the taxation, the subsidy, everything, the IMF knew about it, but it is not 100% their fault. For years, multilateral lenders, especially the IMF, they have a bad reputation with African countries for providing loan for them in desperate and stringent conditions. Even African leaders like Ruto have criticized the international leaders by themselves and the lenders also that they are usually irate compared with other developing countries. But the reason why they make it higher rate is that African countries usually default. So right now as we speak, Kenya staggers under the heavy weight of a heavy debt. While some of the complaints against the IMF are true, African leaders often are to blame. Yes, an economist said that. And then the highest interest rates are often because of the default, like I earlier said, and they provided them another method for them to pay, but most times African leaders usually take the easy way out, which is not actually easy, especially on the poor populace of the African nation, because most of the solution provided by the IMF is for them to increase taxation. So rather than cut out costs, and it will make people start blaming the IMF, right? So when the protest started, the IMF also, they were monitoring the situation that, we look at what the solution we provided for this country, the people have rejected it. And you know that the finance bill has already been scrapped off. So the IMF responded that our main goal is supporting Kenya to overcome the difficult economic challenges, to improve and the phases of its economy, the prospects and well-being of the people. Now, what's next going forward? Because the way the Kenyans are supposed to pay back the loan has been scrapped now, which is taxation and subsidy removal and stuff like that. So Kenyans will now likely have to submit a new review plan to the IMF. President Ruto has already announced new measures expected to fill the gap by the withdrawn tax bill. He said his government will generate funds by cutting 177 billion shillings from the budget for the fiscal year. Me, I was like, why didn't they do that before? Cut down costs. Cut down costs. All the multiplying ministries, overlapping ministries that have almost similar rules, cut them off. All these offices of special advisors, special aid, cut them off. But around May, even before the protest started, Ruto was of the opinion that he was confident that Kenyans would eventually come around to support his action, that I cannot continue to borrow money to pay salary, as he said in an interview, and he has explained to the people of Kenya that we have a choice to borrow money or to collect our own taxes. And of course, he chose the latter, which is to collect taxes and overtax the people, which the people have already rejected now.
You can't find it.
So why are we paying this debt?
I told you, it's a Ponzi scheme. And ask yourself, who has been eating all this money? What is this thing? What is this snake, this chain? Okay?
Because it's like this debt is not going down. We keep paying.
It will keep going up. And yet we are paying humongous amounts of money. This financial year coming, we are paying another 1.8 if current exchange rates remain. Okay? You will not see that thing coming down. It will keep going up. You think at the end of this financial year, 2025, you're going to sit at 11 trillion? No. No. And Ruto tells you he's not borrowing. Good. Let's see. Let's see.
Situation in the country, if I get you correctly, that you're not respecting the rule of law.
That passed long time ago. The leadership has been a fraud. And they must get out of office. And that's what happened. Sri Lanka, it happened that way. People realized, hey, this government is a fraud to us. And they got removed. Greece the same, Lebanon the same, Argentina the same, Peru the same.
I hope at this point of the video you are getting my explanation. If you remember the amount of money I said Kenya owe, please don't write it in the comment section. I was about to say you should write it, but don't write it because it will make other people to watch it, at least to learn what is actually going on. So as a Kenyan, do you think Ruto is like really cruel for introducing taxation? Because at this point he has to continue borrowing to pay salary because you people are not able to generate enough to pay back the loans that has been borrowed. And like I said, 82 billion and plus the 8 billion from China, which is around 90 billion presently. I don't know the rate of Kenyan shilling to dollars, but that is if the rate stays the same. But the president that I'm usually even concerned with is this Jimmy Wanjigi guy that has been making comments about governance every right and center, even though he's entitled to, because I think he's a business mogul, he's one of the richest men in Kenya. But if I look at it very well, he also have an ulterior motive of becoming the president.
What's happening in the country?
Oh, it's very simply this. We all contribute taxes. We all contribute our money to taxes. That is called government revenue. So take a pen, Ken. This is very simple. Take 100 shillings. That is what the Kenya government is collecting from Kenya revenue every year. Right? Now, of 100 shillings, how much is going out? During Kibaki's time, 18 shillings of that 100 was going out to pay debt.
Okay.
Today, by our estimate, it is 80 shillings this financial year that is going to debt. 80 shillings.
Leaving only 20%?
20 shillings.
20 shillings from the 100.
Correct. Now, how much is needed for the counties? 35 shillings. Add it.
35 out?
Yes. What is the figure?
That's 30 plus 20, that's 55.
No. 100 shillings.
100 minus, we subtract.
Correct. Now we are going minus.
Yes.
You subtract 80.
80. So okay.
Now you need 35.
35.
You're negative what?
50.
15.
50, yes.
15.
Yes.
Then you need 50 shillings to pay government salaries every year.
65.
Right. And then you need another 30 shillings to 35 shillings to pay for police petrol, what is called OPEX, operations of government. What are you at?
90. 95.
There you go.
Yes.
That is why we have a problem.
So we
have now reached a borrowing of recurrent expenditure of 100% of our revenue.
Explain.
In other words, for every 100 shillings we give the government every year, it is borrowing another 100 on top of that to service itself. It's like in your home. You earn 10,000 shillings. All right? 80 shillings is going to pay your debts. So now, in order to live your life, to put food on your table, to put petrol in your car, to pay for your bus transport, to pay your electricity bill, to pay for rent,
you have to borrow.
You are borrowing another 100, another 10,000. So you are at 20,000. You are borrowing 100% of your revenue for recurrent expenditure.
How has the country been running then?
It is a disaster that is here with us. That is what I've been saying. The biggest outflow of our money is this thing called debt. And no matter what you see, no matter what you hear, the government is addressing nothing else but this debt outflow, which this financial year is 1.4 trillion. The next financial year, this new budget, it is 1.7 trillion going out there to oligarchs that is not coming back to Wanjiko or Mora. This is the biggest problem we have. So when you see the government saying it has to increase taxes, it is trying to address the debt problem.
By increasing
nothing
taxes.
else. Yes.
So
it needs to pay this.
They want to get more money
for consumption, to settle debt. Nothing else. It's the biggest outflow. There's no other expenditure of 1.7 trillion in the budget. There isn't. That is not even our recurrent expenditure.
Which comes
that is, there's nowhere near development. There's no money for development when you talk about this.
Yeah.
It is nothing like this.
The president says, and the deputy president says, that this is a problem that was handed over to them.
Yes.
It's not their problem.
How is it not their problem? They've inherited it. It is their problem. And it is then a question of the government and how it addresses its economic policy going forward. What I'm seeing so far, and I don't think I'm alone, is that the same policies that got us here are the same ones that are being used to go forward.
You're judging them too fast.
No. I'm judging them on their budget. They have come to take more money from us. They believe that government is the driver of growth and unemployment. They believe that is what has been happening in the last 10 years. They want a government that is spending to change our life, to change our growth. And this is where I differ with them completely.
But that's one of the ways of making sure they spur the economy, by spending money in the economy.
That is what is called demand-side economics. Demand-side economics. And that has been practiced the last 10 years, and it has failed. It is a big disaster. That's why we are 80% of our revenue going to debt. Going outside this country, going to oligarchs, not coming back to help wananchi.
When you say 80%, you're assuming we are collecting enough to pay the debt in this financial year. Where are we?
In as much as he's trying his best to explain the Kenyan debt, how they can get out of it, I don't think a successful businessman can make a successful president. I think there's a line between that. Some politicians, some businessmen don't even venture into politics because they think maybe they might do woefully. So I don't really trust the words of Jimmy Wanjigi. But if you feel like he's a prospect for Kenyan presidency, please leave out all your thoughts down in the comment section. I hope you are able to get the my explanation, because it took me a while. In fact, I couldn't even upload yesterday. It took me a while to bring out all this material, and I supposed to sit down and do the video face to face, but I was super busy. And these are some of extracts that I use in case you want to still read more on the issue. Thank you so much for always supporting my channel. Thank you so much. It took me a while, in fact, a lot for me to do this video. I could not even sit down and make a proper sit-down video how to do voiceover. But I hope you can understand. Thank you so much once again, and see you guys in my next one.